something that might have a play here, but we don't know what's specifically on these movesets yet. Just a little bit of speculation for you.
Yeah, I am. This turn one's going to be really interesting. See how both of these players have decided to lead, because it's really hard to tell from these teams, from just the 6 Pokemon on the team, what exactly your opponent might be going for. And it's going to be the Gengar and the Togekiss alongside Excadrill and Grimmsnarl for Justice here. So, I'm used to seeing Gengar as a very powerful, very fast, kind of frail special attacker, or back in the day when it could Mega Evolve, trapping for a Perish Song team. Doesn't have its Mega Evolution anymore, so just here to deal damage, and I'm excited to see what that Pokemon can do.
What I've also noticed is about Justice's Excadrill, we've seen Excadrill paired alongside the Tyrannotars for the majority of our series so far. So this Excadrill in particular is actually going to be running Mold Breaker ability, and I think that's going to be very, very interesting to note.
Yeah, catching the Mold Breaker activation is always important when you're playing against an Excadrill, trying to see what the actual ability is going to be, because Mold Breaker and Sand Rush are both good and both very viable in different situations. Nihal just going to go ahead and immediately Dynamax that Togekiss, going on the offensive here. Finally, we're seeing the screen's Grimmsnarl sets the light screen, will be very powerful at reducing the damage from this Gengar's Icy Wind, as well as any max moves coming out from the Togekiss.
Usually when we see Grimmsnarls that like to run those screens, we often see them running that item Light Clay, which means that it can extend the life of those screens. But we don't know particularly what this Grimmsnarl is running. Some of them are also often running a Babiri Berry or some type of berry in order to extend their longevity on the field. But Togekiss going for the Max Starfall here and a Rock Slide as well, just kind of as a bit of a back here. But wow, the Gengar showing off that it has the ability Curse Body and a weakness policy.
Oh, that feels good if you're Nihal. You both get to deactivate, or you get to disable the Rock Slide from Excadrill, so Excadrill can't do that again. Yeah, I'm sure it had a great time Rock Sliding that first turn, but not going to get another chance. And all it did was just activate Togekiss's weakness policy. Gengar's Icy Wind support means that this Togekiss is going to be dealing so much damage if it decides to go for attacks.
Doesn't look like it's going to go for attacks this time, but Grimmsnarl is going to try. Thunder Wave, though, will protect the Togekiss. And Gengar now going for the Icy Wind. This is really what Gengar's kit is used for, just to slow down the pace for all of the Pokemon on the opposite side of the field. Yeah,
Grimmsnarl just barely hung on after that Max Starfall with 1 hit point, which meant that Nihal had to protect the Togekiss this time to avoid that Thunder Wave. Otherwise, all of that offensive pressure would have been for naught. That Protect, though, it does mean that Excadrill's not doing much of anything on its own, and Gengar is able to get off another Icy Wind.
We're going to see Togekiss now coming out from Justice in a little bit of a less impressive form there, just the regular Togekiss.
Tiny Togekiss.
Tiny Togekiss. teeny Togekiss.
That's the propeller plane. Nihal has the Jumbo Jet right now.
Yeah, I particularly like when Togekiss Dynamaxes, its little feet start to flick in the air. It's very cute. But actually looking at kind of the state of the board right now, I really am curious to see how Justice is going to play around the weakness policy Togekiss, because not only does it still have a significant amount of its health left, but it still has a couple more turns of Dynamax.
Yeah, still has this turn of Dynamax, but Justice at least does have the light screen up and is able to Dynamax their own Togekiss, most likely here, having switched in to get the full effect. So matching both Dynamax Togekiss, Justice will be able to have that Dynamax longer should Togekiss survive, because Nihal having that weakness policy boost and potentially able to fire off, super luck boosted attacks as well. I don't think we've seen any crits yet, but that is always that's most likely what you have when you have a more offensive version of the Togekiss. And just another huge max airstream, going to pick up the KO onto that Excadrill. The Icy Wind mixed with setting up this max airstream at the end here to give the Gengar and Togekiss a speed boost means that Nihal will probably be faster than anything else that Justice could do.
Well, we are seeing a Max Airstream coming in as a return from Justice's Togekiss, which is going to even the playing field just a little bit, but still, the Icy Wind drop is not helping any of the Pokemon on Justice's field, and we do see the Gyarados coming in here for Justice. It's going to be the last 2 Pokemon for them, and the last turn of Dynamax is finally used up.
Yeah, Nihal's Togekiss is now back to its adorable bite-sized form up against the Jumbo Jet on Justice's side now. Gyarados is a very strong Pokemon, but because of that Airstream boost, Nihal has a huge speed advantage, should be able to outspeed, and with that weakness policy, deal so much damage right back.
Gengar,
especially with this Icy Wind.
Yeah, Gengar is just continuously going for that, and I really love this play coming out from Nihal just to continue to control the speed the way that they have been, not only kind of partnering the Icy Winds with those Max Airstreams when they can, but there's the Dazzling Gleam, and still no critical hits just yet.
Yeah, no critical hits coming out from Nihal's Togekiss. The Earthquake will pick up the KO onto Gengar, who will disable it again with the Cursed Body. But Nihal's probably okay with that. Gyarados does get a Moxie boost, which is kind of big to continue going on the offensive now that Justice is able to get more Max Airstreams, pick up the KO there as well. And now Gyarados is back at even speed because of that Icy Wind, but with a Moxie boost.
You do have the Moxie boost, and I think that's particularly important information for Nihal to know about, because that means that Gyarados is going to be a powerhouse for Justice's team, and this is also a really interesting situation for Nihal to be in. Now we're going to get a chance to see what this Bisharp's able to do with the Rotom on its side.
Yeah, getting that Icy Wind onto the Gyarados last turn before Gengar went down was huge. You would hate to see the Gyarados having a speed boost and a Moxie boost if you're Nihal or a fan of Nihal's, but because of that Icy Wind, Gyarados is still just at normal speed, which offers some opportunity for Nihal to deal some big damage before Gyarados starts just doing Gyarados things and getting boosts.
Gotta pay attention though that Gyarados did take a lot of damage from those Icy Winds, and Togekiss isn't sitting super healthy either. So this could mean that there's going to be a little bit of frailty to Justice's team, particularly if we do see something like the Sucker Punch going in and...
Ooh. In Sucker Punch range, picks up the KO.
Yeah, is going to get the knockout. And a nasty plot now coming out from the Rotom means that this Rotom is going to be able to match a lot of the pressure that this Togekiss can put out.
Yeah, nasty plot Rotom. We've been seeing a lot of that so far this tournament, as Max Starfall is going to pick up a lot of damage back, but activate the berry for Rotom. Interestingly enough, we know that Rotom Wash, by going for that Max Starfall, Togekiss is not going to have the opportunity to outspeed the Rotom Wash this time around, and that nasty plot's about to do some work.
Nasty Plot is about to do some work. I also want to note that Bisharp is a very fast Pokemon. I want to see kind of a little bit more about the speeds here, if they are going to be going for something else, and that's going to be Sucker Punch this time, but fortunately we're not actually going to get a chance to see what the speed does look like between this Togekiss and this Bisharp.
Nasty plot Rotom. I'm a believer.
I'm a believer.
I've come around. I'm in. I'm all about that. Picks up the KO onto Togekiss. Nihal, really strong showing there in Game 1. Played incredibly well. And I think it was really, it's underrated, but Gengar's ability to just sit there and spam Icy Winds while Justice was trying to catch back up basically meant that Nihal was always going to be ahead of the speed game, even when he lost his own Dynamax Togekiss, and Justice was able to start catching up with Max Airstreams. The Icy Wind just put him too deep a hole to get out of, I think.
Yeah, I mean, something else, though, is that Nihal was able to take pretty big advantage of their Dynamax turns, even though Justice was able to maneuver around those very well. It was just that conjunction of the Icy Wind plus the Max Airstreams that I think definitely kind of did it for them. I was really hoping that the Gyarados is going to be able to do a bit more there, especially with the Moxie boost for Justice. But unfortunately, just took too much damage from those Icy Winds that it did put it into Sucker Punch range. Yeah,
it put it into Sucker Punch range, and even outside of Sucker Punch range, because it took some of those Icy Winds from Gyarados, it was still just struggling to catch up. to the offensive pressure that Nihal was putting out. So even though it seems like it was a little bit of a slower, Nihal was running a slower team, it was Nihal who was able to get the weakness policy activation on Togekiss and start going to town with those max airstreams and max starfalls.
Justice got so much information from that game 1. I mean, the fact that Togekiss was running the weakness policy, that's already a huge boon of information in order to really play around for this game 2. So I think that Justice is going to be in a pretty good position just knowing what they're up against in terms of the weakness policy Togekiss as well as the cursed body Gengar. That got a lot of value.
Yeah, Nihal was able to get a lot of value out of that for sure. Especially that Rock Slide turn 1. Really, really perfect just to be able to... I want you to have Rock Slide just so you can activate my own weakness policy, and now I'm getting rid of it. Now you don't get to play with that anymore.
No more Rock Slide for you.
All right, well, here we go, heading into Game 2 with both of our competitors here, Nihal Noor and Justice Surjan. Both of these players here still well on their way to qualifying for Day 2, but Nihal with a 1-game advantage in the driver's seat.
Well, we'll see if this adjustment's going to make a difference here. Justice is going to be leading with a Duraludon as well as a Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl, we did get a chance to see during Game 1, but I think this Duraludon is going to be a bit different here. But I really like this adjustment from Nihal as well, bringing in the Arcanine. The Arcanine tends to run a little bit of Snarl, and particularly when you're faced up against a Duraludon, that's going to do a lot in order to lower that special attack.
Yeah, the Duraludon hates to get snarled. Really need some extra boost to get the damage output that Duraludon requires to actually pick up some of those KOs. So being able to snarl with Arcanine does a lot to limit Duraludon's abilities here. And Grimmsnarl, we've already seen, is most likely that screens version, so unlikely to be offering the fake tears support.
Right. The fake tears would have been the perfect thing to be able to have on this Grimmsnarl, but yeah, it's going to be the Icy Wind that's going to show off the speed drop there, and then the Snarl as well is going to get those attack drops in addition. Yeah,
you called it. The Arcanine going for the Snarl just to keep the Duraludon limited. Flash Cannon, just a regular Flash Cannon, not Dynamax at all yet. The Cursed Body again, going to go ahead and disable that. Looks like Justice is actually going to go ahead and double up on the Gengar, tries to Spirit Break and Flash Cannon, so drops the special attack, also gets the Spirit Break disabled. So Gengar is still out here doing what it wants to do, Icy Winding, shrugging off both of those attacks, and Arcanine got a free Snarl off, and you know, I think Nihal's probably still happy just to continue spreading these debuffs.
Yeah, I think Nihal ended up playing that turn really well, and it was really unfortunate for Justice there because now that's really kind of the main source. When you're looking at a screens variant of Grimmsnarl, you tend to have only one option that ends up doing any sort of damage. So now Justice is forced to use other options, much like this Thunder Wave. Yep,
Thunder Wave connects with Arcanine, though, so will be limiting its speed and be able to paralyze it if it is lucky. Another Snarl connects on both Pokemon to drop the Duraludon's special attack one more time. And here comes a Draco Meteor into what was the Gengar, now the Rotom Wash. That's that's okay damage, 64 hit points of damage there, but also dropping special attack another 2 stages. So usually you want to get a full power Draco Meteor off 4, but because of the 2 Snarls, it was like we were on our second Draco Meteor already.
That's a bit of a tell to me that Justice might want to try to switch out the Duraludon to get that special attack reset. And that is something that Nihal's going to want to be a little bit cognizant of here, just because they might be able to get a read on something else that comes into that place. I think they're really well set up for that too, but Grimmsnarl instead, no switches here, just going to go for some screens.
Wow, no switch at all. Just another light screen from Grimmsnarl. Probably afraid of this nasty plot Rotom, so Nihal going to go ahead and continue to boost special attack. Arcanine is paralyzed this time. Ooh, and shows the Dragon Tail. Connects with Rotom Wash and drags back out the Gengar. Like, you thought you could get away from me.
Okay, I actually really love that. And Dragon Tail is one of those tech moves that I think is super interesting. If you didn't know that it has that secondary effect, it does have a lower priority, but the secondary effect of Dragon Tail is that it almost acts like a roar. It really forces the opposing Pokemon that it targeted down to switch out, and that means that that Nasty Plot boost No more. That Nasty Plot boost got reset, so Nihal is set back a couple of stages, needs to bring the Rotom back out, and will be able to at least be in range because of that Dragon Tail to get the Citrus Berry off.
Yeah, gets to eat the berry eating was a little bit delayed here because of the Dragon Tail, but on switch in gets to heal back up a little bit. And as you can see, it takes almost no damage from this Thunderbolt out of the Duraludon, while negating the Thunder Wave from Grimmsnarl as well. Nihal trying to protect that Gyarados. Unfortunately, Arcanine just not getting a chance to do anything because of the paralysis. Maybe trying to continue to go for more Snarls, or maybe just some damage onto Grimmsnarl.
Right, but what do you do in that situation when you have a Pokemon that is paralyzed? It's not like you can actually heal it unless you're holding an item such as a Lumberry, which this Arcanine is definitely not doing at this moment. So it's really unfortunate there that they won't be able to heal off this paralysis. So you may as well try to go for as many attacks as you can, particularly if it's going to be more Snarls. But a Thunderbolt now without that boost.
Another paralysis. Arcanine not getting a chance to do much of anything, but Spirit Break dealing a little bit of damage back to the Rotom and dropping the special attack. Dragon Tail comes out again from the Duraludon. Nihal, of course, recognizing that he could not just continue to Nasty Plot in front of that Duraludon because it would just get knocked back out. So goes for the damage on Grimmsnarl, gets a little bit, but that light screen still doing work. Togekiss is going to have a lot of things to try. Got to do a lot of things to get through this wall right now.
Well, what's interesting is that both players haven't used their Dynamax yet. So we are going to be seeing some later turns of Dynamax in towards the end part of the end game here.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually really interesting, particularly for Nihal, because Nihal's going to be able to kind of get a chance to maneuver around the screens, maybe wait them out, and then go for the Dynamax turns.
Yeah, absolutely. And shows Protect on Togekiss. So Togekiss going to go ahead and protect itself from a Spirit Break from Grimmsnarl. Definitely trying to avoid a Thunder Wave, but Rotom just can't stop itself from getting Dragon-tailed by Duraludon. And now Gengar is back out, and Justice doesn't have a lot of offensive pressure. Duraludon's at -4. It's not dealing a lot of damage with the Dragon Tail. Spirit Break's doing okay damage, but even still, this is all just adding up over time. These are a bunch of free damage turns for Justice.
Oh, I feel like Justice's game plan at this moment is actually very telling of what they have in the back, just because they are focusing down on that Rotom, making sure it can't get off a Nasty Plot or get off any big damage. Yeah, I think that Justice has recognized that the main damage dealer of this team right now, or one of the two main damage dealers of the team, is going to be that Rotom Wash. So try to get as low as possible, or even get a chance to knock it out, and then see what you can do here. But Togekiss going to go ahead and switch out here. Another rotating door of Pokemon, and you're going to have Arcanine coming back out in its place just to get another cherry on top of the cake there with that Intimidate.
Yeah, Intimidate's going to be helpful for Grimmsnarl a little bit, but Sludge Wave coming out from Gengar will not be affecting Duraludon, but will be affecting the entire rest of the field. Doesn't quite pick up the KO onto the Grimmsnarl, and another Draco Meteor here from Duraludon onto Gengar is enough to pick up the KO. Even after all of those drops, still able to pick up that KO. And I think Duraludon's okay about this Cursed Body activation.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's okay. I think it's ended up getting off the attacks that it really needs to now. And the Spirit Break for Arcanine really just going to do a bit of chip damage there. But most importantly, it's going to get the special attack drop there. Light Screen, though, is gone.
Yeah, so Grimmsnarl just barely hanging on there on that last turn of Light Screen. Nihal's going to need Togekiss to make something happen here while having to avoid getting paralyzed by that Thunder Wave as well. 8 hit points Grimmsnarl is actually kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
There's nothing left to do but paralyze anything that's not paralyzed.
It has nothing left to lose. It has absolutely nothing left to lose. It can go for that paralysis, the Thunder Wave. And that is something that this Togekiss is going to have to be real cognizant of. But Nihal's been playing around these screens and everything else that Justice has really kind of put out there to deal with really, really well. And I think what Nihal is hoping for is that the final Snarl will go off and we'll be able to get the knockout.
All right, well...
Or the Heat Wave.
Yeah, no need to Snarl anymore, I guess. Duraludon's already dropped its special attack 4 stages. Snarl's, unnecessary here. the Thunderbolt will connect with Arcanine. While Togekiss went for the Protect here. Smart play from Justice there, understanding that, can't really go for the Thunder Wave, predicting that Nihal's going to go ahead and just try to protect that Togekiss from Thunder Wave. The pressure of the risk of taking that Thunder Wave is so great, because it seems obvious that Togekiss is who Nihal wants to be Dynamaxing here, that it just gives Justice a chance on that Grimmsnarl to set a Light Screen for free, which is going to completely limit the amount of damage that Nihal's going to be able to put out from both this Togekiss and the Rotom.
Gengar is felled. Duraludon finally, after doing its job, is going to get switched out, and we will see that Mold Breaker ability once again on this Excadrill. But it's about time that we see some Dynamaxes here towards the end game of this set.
Yeah, this is Sword and Shield. I want to see big Pokemon.
Me too. Well, Big Togekiss is definitely one of those that I enjoy seeing. Again, defeat.
Yeah, going to get a big Togekiss on Justice's side.
So cute.
Probably going to get big Togekiss from Nihal's side as well. If not now, then later. Yep, there we go. And actually, surprisingly, I was noticing it when Duraludon switched out for the Excadrill. Duraludon's still reasonably healthy.
Yes.
Like, it's just been taking tiny little snarls.
Yes,
it could come back in, fully refresh special attack, and threaten some big flash cannons.
Yeah, that was a really smart heads-up play from Justice to be able to preserve Duraludon that much, because Nihal kind of wasn't really looking at Duraludon as a really big threat here, but this Arcanine's not going to be able to do too much more in this this game too, just because that Max Airstream just going to be able to knock it out right there. But I think it definitely did the job that it wanted to, but that leaves that Duraludon very, very safe to come back in later and know that it's not going to get snarled again.
Yeah, and crucially, Justice's Togekiss outspeeding Nihal's, getting the Max Airstream up first, means that it's going to be ahead in the Max Airstream wars. So even when Rotom Wash comes out here, there's no chance of Rotom Wash getting an extra speed boost here. Justice is always going to be one speed boost ahead, so long as Justice decides to continue Max Airstreaming to keep that Excadrill going faster than the Rotom Wash, and potentially deal some big damage to that Dynamax Togekiss.
Yeah. We did see a Max Airstream come out from at least the other side of the field, but high horsepower. That Rotom was already so
That
low
works.
from all the Dragon Tails that it had taken. So, yeah, that is going to be a really clean way to get the knockout there, particularly with the Mold Breaker ability. Really needed that in order to get through.
Yeah, Mold Breaker eliminating the Levitate from Rotom Wash, meaning that high horsepower can hit for super effective damage. And Justice, with this Togekiss, going to continue to Max Airstream, sort of like what we saw in Game 1, preventing Nihal from ever being able to catch up in speed to this Excadrill and onto the Togekiss. We do finally see a crit here coming out from the Togekiss.
Yeah, we do.
Onto the Excadrill, but it's still not enough. And Justice looks like they're in very strong position here to take this game too.
We will have to see. Yeah, this is 2 times in a row now that we've seen Justice's Togekiss move faster. And Excadrill going for the Protect might actually be enough to stop this final Max Airstream potentially coming out from Nihal's side to actually get the knockout. But this third Max Airstream from Justice is going to be also a critical hit.
Yeah. Excadrill, I guess, trying to maybe hope for a chance to deal some damage outside of the Dynamax with the Protect. Yeah, and easily
Definitely
able to tank that through the Protect. Justice, so strong, such a strong play this game. For the longest time, it looked like not a whole lot was happening. Duraludon was at minus 2 special attack from the Snarls, -4 from the Draco Meteor, and then -6 from the other Draco Meteor, but still able to add up damage through Dragon Tail over and over with some Spirit Breaks from that Grimmsnarl as well. And Justice, a really well-played game 2 there to take that game and push us to a game 3.
And the Duraludon was still healthy in the back.
Duraludon's still fine. It could come back in and Draco Meteor at full power. No problem. No problem.
No, but that was a very heads-up play. I had mentioned before, after we had gotten the -4 special attack drop on the Duraludon, maybe Justice is going to want to switch it out and get the reset. But it was very, very clean of Justice to keep that Duraludon in play, because Nihal wasn't looking at Duraludon as a big threat because of all the special attack drops. Didn't realize that Duraludon was able to get the job done the way that it kind of needed to. All those Dragon Tails, even though it wasn't doing big damage, was doing enough chip damage that it was threatening down the Rotom, which was really kind of the big source of damage for Nihal's team.
Yeah, and throughout all of that, Justice was able to keep his own Togekiss and Excadrill safe and healthy in the back. There was no reason to switch out Grimmsnarl or Duraludon. They were still, Justice would have been happy to sacrifice at least the Grimmsnarl, maybe the Duraludon as well for a free switch in there. No need to risk any damage coming into those Pokemon, especially no need to risk Rotom Wash getting a free nasty plot like Nihal tried to do. But now that Nihal knows that that Dragon Tail exists, that there won't be free turns to set up, he'll have to go into this Game 3 adapting, understanding, realizing that it's not enough to just to not be afraid of these Pokemon because they are weak. You need to make sure that you are getting the knockouts so you can advance the game forward,
right,
and setting up your own Pokemon to take advantage of that once it happens.
Keeping Togekiss safe is definitely the play for both of these players. But I wonder if we are going to see another adaptation here. Nihal was able to take that game 1 utilizing Gengar, Togekiss, and Bisharp really effectively all together. And we didn't see that Bisharp in that game 2.
Yeah, kind of missed that Bisharp a lot, especially after Nihal fell behind in speed. May not have been the #1 problem with what happened with Nihal. I think a lot of it was just getting a few turns of free damage. Even though it wasn't big damage, it was still free damage on a lot of those Pokemon cycling out. But I would be interested to see it.
Well,
like
here's
this.
the leads. Yes, like this. Gengar and Bisharp together on the field for Nihal, and that's going to be an interesting lead against the Grimmsnarl and the Excadrill here for Justice.
Yeah, Grimmsnarl being led all 3 games, but with different partner here. The Excadrill out immediately. We've already seen the light screen, which would be very effective against the Gengar. We haven't seen a Reflect, which would make that Bisharp a little bit weaker. But, Nihal's been working so hard to keep that Gengar from getting paralyzed by Grimmsnarl, and it just happens. Turn 1.
Yeah. Oh, Bisharp's going to avoid an attack too. But the Iron Head, this is actually going to reveal what this item is on the Grimmsnarl. It was not Light Clay. It was actually going to be that Babiri Berry.
The Babiri. And man, that high horsepower miss is huge on the Bisharp. Takes no damage from the Excadrill, and instead gets to deal good damage back to Grimmsnarl. And now that Icy Wind has started to be active from Gengar, Excadrill's not going to have as many free opportunities to pick up that KO.
No, not gonna have too many here, especially because now you got the Icy Wind drop. The speed is going to be in their favor, in Nihal's favor. Means Gengar and Bisharp are going to be able to move really, really quickly, but doesn't want to take too much damage here. Is going to go for the Protect.
Yeah, just has to protect to avoid that Thunder Wave again. The best way to get another opportunity is to use that speed. The speed adjusting factor of Thunder Wave to cut down that speed. But Gengar hangs on with the Focus Sash and fires back with Icy Wind onto Grimmsnarl and the Excadrill once more. Deal a little bit of damage right back and get that ever-important speed drop.
Grimmsnarl is so low right now.
Yeah. It's taking good damage from Icy Wind for Icy Wind, but that Babiri Berry making sure that Bisharp couldn't pull off that KO immediately. Big deal there to keep the Grimmsnarl alive and able to fire off these Thunder Waves.
And Bisharp is still super, super healthy. So Bisharp's going to be able to show off a lot more of what it's going to be able to do. Really just taking a little bit of damage just from the Life Orb that it's holding. But Gengar also just down to its last little bit. But the Sucker Punch is going to work into the Excadrill. But wow, that's a big amount of damage coming in from that Bisharp.
It does good damage. Sucker Punch gets it. And of course, the Thunder Wave actually does not affect Bisharp because Dark types are not affected by Prankster. So Bisharp actually able to avoid that Thunder Wave entirely while Gengar picks up the KO with the Sludge Wave.
I think Justice wasn't entirely sure of that interaction right there, and that's going to be an unfortunate circumstance as Justice is now down to their last two Pokemon, and it's a Gyarados and a Togekiss.
Oh, wait, it's Moxie. It's good. I panicked for Justice for a second that Intimidate was about to activate the Defiant, but all right, it's Moxie. We saw it.
Right. But we do know that that Icy Wind's definitely not going to be something that these two Pokemon is going to take very well.
Yeah. Fortunately, Grimmsnarl was able to get the Thunder Wave off onto Gengar, and it is down to its Focus Sash, so should not be able to do too much here, especially if we have a Dazzling Gleam or an Earthquake, these type of spread attacks from Justice's Pokemon. Pick up the KO onto that Gengar, and then Togekiss we'll be able to see what Togekiss wanted to do to the Bisharp, but the Protect going to keep it safe right now while Gyarados picks up that Moxie boost.
We'll get the Moxie boost, and that's really important for Justice in order to actually kind of win the game and definitely win the series. That's really what Justice is relying on at the moment, and it kind of has a couple of options here. Could opt to go for the Dynamax onto the Gyarados or go for the Dynamax onto the Togekiss, depending on what they feel is going to be the most important. Gyarados often runs a really nice spread of moves and could also use Max Airstream itself, but the Togekiss is probably a little bit faster.
Yeah, Gyarados is a really interesting Dynamax Pokemon. It gets really good coverage. Get some of the best Max moves like Max Quake off of that Earthquake, as well as Max Geyser, and of course can have the option of getting Max Airstream from a move like Bounce. So it's always an interesting Pokemon to consider for a Dynamax here. It might be the right call for Justice since he was able to get that Moxie boost. They've already got some boosts on the Gyarados. Start rolling.
Yeah, the Gyarados is going to be really good here, especially if it's going to be able to continue to utilize that Earthquake. That's a really interesting tech to have on the Gyarados. Usually you have something else in that slot.
There it is.
But I really like the spread moves here, and I think that Dynamaxing the Gyarados is definitely Justice's win condition in this moment, just to make sure that they're going to be able to get off maybe some Max Airstreams as well as getting off some single targeted attacks.
All right, well, Nihal is going to counter with a Dynamax of his own, but gotta be happy if you're Justice to have the Moxie boosted Dynamax Gyarados alongside your Togekiss. Being able to use, potentially use a Follow Me to protect that Gyarados and allow it to just get started. No Follow Me though, so Gyarados will have to take this Sucker Punch from Bisharp for free, but will be able to fire back with Max Airstream onto the Dynamax Togekiss, deals good damage, and starts the clock. Make sure that Gyarados is fast. We'll be able to get the Airstreams off first, and get some damage with Heat Wave from its own Togekiss before Nihal can counteract with their own Max move.
Oh, and that critical hit was so important there for the Bisharp. Not being able to outlast that, and the Max Airstream now just as another bit of information from Nihal's team. Just going to get those speed boosts there.
Yeah, another speed boost, but only for the Togekiss, not for whatever Pokemon is in the back. And that was a great turn for Justice. Heat Wave picked up the KO onto Bisharp. Rotom Wash in the back. Gyarados is happy to see that. Gyarados knows how to deal. Max Gyarados has plenty of options to deal with Rotom Wash because it gets power whip, so you can always see a Max Overgrowth. Normally this is a Pokemon that you would feel very safe against Gyarados, but now that Gyarados has Moxie Boost and has a speed boost from the Max Airstream, and you know that it has access to something like a Max Overgrowth, Rotom Wash no longer countering this Pokemon.
Yeah, this is a really great position for Justice to be in, particularly because of the single targeted attacks that this Gyarados is able to use. But the ally switch here might make things a little bit trickier.
There's always that.
There is always that.
Rotom can always ally switch.
Yeah, and that's going to be the Max Overgrowth going right into the Togekiss, doing barely any damage at all.
Yep. And crucially, because Gyarados had to go for the Max Overgrowth, means it's taking its foot off of the pedal, not going for a Max Airstream to keep up the speed boost. The Dazzling Gleam, even with the critical hit, not enough to pick up the KO on the Dynamax Togekiss. And Nihal now able to take the Max Airstream, pick up the KO onto Gyarados, and boost the speed of that Rotom Wash.
Absolutely. That Max Airstream was so important for this final couple of turns. And now that the Dynamax is over, Rotom Wash is free to do whatever it wants.
Yeah, and just Togekiss left on Justice's side. It's at full hit points, but it's slow. It doesn't have all the boosts of Nihal's Togekiss. It's going to be able to get to fire off another Max attack, and then Rotom Wash is going to be able to Thunderbolt. Such a good ally switch coming out from Nihal that turn.
That was such a good ally switch, and that was important to not reveal that information until this very moment here. A final max airstream coming out from Nihal's Togekiss is going to boost the speed once more, and that Rotom's going to be able to take advantage of that right away with a Thunderbolt right into the Togekiss slot to be able to finish it off, and that's going to be the set going to Nihal.
Such a strong play there from Nihal. The ally switch, so perfect. Max overgrowth into the Togekiss, not able to deal any damage, and then able to fire back, pick up the Gyarados KO. That's a rough one. Ally switches are hard to play against, but man, really well played set from both of these players. Nihal and Justice, 3 games, 3 amazing games.
3 amazing games.
Some of the most fun that I've had watching Pokemon today, and we've had some amazing games already.
Absolutely. I mean, we were just moments away from potentially seeing Justice take that series, and Nihal was able to take it right back with that ally switch. It was just so close. So we've seen 2 Game 3 sets just end in a very close fashion now.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I love about when we've been talking about Dynamax and some of the interstitial